Well, hello everybody. So I am actually going to be recording over the audio of the video because the voice was just not, it didn't come out really well, and I was just really focused on riding the bike at this event, the Biltwell 100. So I'll start by saying that I am at the Biltwell 100. I am riding the Stark Varg electric motorcycle, and I am in the electric endurance class, which means that for my class, we will be running 2 laps, each lap being 25 miles, so a total of 50 miles. And the strategy here, at least for myself, it turns out that in my class there were like 12 different bikes. There was a team of some kind racing with what they call the Altis motorcycles. First time I ever saw them, first time I ever heard about them, but apparently they can quickly swap the battery in the bikes. So, it's probably almost as quick as basically filling up your bike with gas. So they took the podiums one and two, in first place and second place, and I believe that Zero with their EX was also there. They also swapped bikes. They swapped the batteries, and they got third place. So I did not swap a battery. I uh, simply charged after the first lap, and my original plan, based on testing that I was doing, calculations that I made, was that I should be able to finish the first lap with about 35% left. That was the calculation that I got. I actually ended up finishing the first lap with 37%. And then I charged the bike to 75%. So from 37% to 75%, that took a little bit over 30 minutes. I think it was around 35 minutes. And then I took off to do the second lap. And in the second lap, I was a little bit faster than the first one. And when I came back to the finish line, I had 8% left in the battery. So I used a little bit more on the second lap than I did on the first lap, and I attribute that mostly to riding a little bit faster, since I was a little bit more comfortable with the first lap. I kind of knew what to expect. So we're gonna go ahead and show you the entire first lap unedited. And unfortunately, I was not able to. My camera ran out of battery on the second lap, so I only got about 20 minutes of the second lap. So I'm not gonna post that on this video, but I will show you the entire first lap, um, all the dust and everything. So enjoy the video, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was personally, I was I like the whole event. It's probably not my cup of tea. I personally, maybe through these races, I found out that I was just not that into the whole going 80 miles an hour in a straight line over whoops type of thing. I'm more of like technical kind of thing, and I found out that during this race. So let's cut into the next parts of the video. Lining up.
Nice shit. Nice.
You guys swapping batteries?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just charging.
Sick.
Oh, you're gonna charge?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Right on. What's your name?
John.
John, I'm Jenny.
Nice
Good to meet you.
Jenny.
Yeah. Stoked to see more Starks out here.
I know. I already saw a few.
Yeah.
Which is
You got
cool.
one right behind you.
Yeah.
Are there any more?
I think there's probably like 3, maybe.
Right on. So your name's John?
Yeah.
Cool. Good luck out there.
Thank you so much.
Have you done this race before?
First time.
Sweet. Did you come
First
out
time
just because they
everything.
opened up an electric class?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, I did.
How did you hear about it?
Actually, I saw the video from Zero when they were doing the testing.
Yeah, that's this guy.
That's this guy, right? Yeah. I think I saw you on the video.
nice.
That's how I found out about it.
That's sick, man.
Yeah, and I looked that up and I saw that the regular electric was already full.
Yeah.
But the endurance was open.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll do the endurance, it's fine.
Why not, man? You get more ride time in. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
How long? Back up. Back it up, man. Back it up, guys. Okay, so you guys all gotta make like motorcycles.
Beep, 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 beep. Coming by.
Wait. All right, wait a minute. Go ahead.
Bam, 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 bam.
I need noise.
Bam, 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 bam. So that's basically the start of the race, and it was pretty dramatic. Lots of dust. This is the first time I ever raced on a motorcycle, and it was just so dusty. It was pretty wild. But you know, something you just gotta get used to, the realities of the event. But yeah, those guys were flying, man. That team with those Altis motorcycles, electric motorcycles, they were just pinning their lives, man. I was like, wow, okay, all right, good for them. But I mean, I was passing people left and right, and a few people were passing me like twice as fast as I was passing other people. So I was like, wow, they really are going all out. And what I mentioned at the beginning of this video was that it kind of made me realize that this is just not my cup of tea. I did not find it extremely satisfying trying to go 80 miles an hour on this type of road and this type of environment where you can barely see the trail ahead of you. You have all kinds of things that might pop out of nowhere, like whoops and dips and rocks and whatever, that at those speeds, I mean, if something happens, you're gonna break something, guaranteed, if not die. So it just made me like well, I felt I was going pretty darn fast, and those guys are still going way faster. So it was just it was just kind of eye-opening. I mean, I have no problem going fast, but it just did not feel like fun, like at all, to me personally. And you can see all the whoops there. They're going through, and I saw. Oh my gosh! Well, you'll see on this video, but there must have been like 10 to 15 people, like basically dead on the trail. We hadn't even. I was not even on the track yet. And there were already multiple ambulances having to go out there and pick up people and take them to the hospital because they had, broken themselves somehow. And so, going from this to like a type of, hard enduro where speeds are way lower than this, and it's not that I'm afraid of the speed, but I just. I like the technicality of having to go through an uphill through rocks and challenging type of terrain with more forestry in the environment. I like to see the forest. I like that kind of scenario or that kind of environment more than this, where I probably ate like 3 pounds of dirt and it was just mostly luck. It's just, if you're going fast, 80 miles an hour, and you didn't see something, it's got nothing to do with skills. It's just bad luck, and you smash yourself, and you kill yourself, or you broke yourself. Then that's the end of it, right? So, at least on hard enduro scenario type of thing, it's a lot. You have a lot more chance of not completely destroying yourself because you can bail out of the bike and things like that, and speeds are just not that high. They don't need to be that high. It's more about how to get over obstacles and things like that. So that's my cup of tea. I enjoy that a lot more, trying to figure out how to go over stuff and things like that, than just pinning my life in a straight line over whoops that who knows what size they are, how deep they are, what's in them, etc. That's just me personally. But so anyway, getting back to the bike and the reason why I'm doing this event, I was trying. I have the following week I will be at the Nevada 200 trail ride, which is a 200-mile event. 3 days. First day is 50 miles, second day is about 95, and third day it's like about another 40 some odd miles. And I wanted to do this event right after I heard about it, which was maybe 2 weeks before the event was held, the Biltwell. So I was able to sign up on the electric enduro class. And I really wanted to check out how the battery would hold up on the start, going at a faster pace, open, and was it gonna heat? I watched this video from somebody that was doing a racing on the King of the Motos, and he was complaining that his start wire was heating up, and while he was trying to recharge, it wouldn't charge at the fastest speed possible, which is about 3.3 kilowatts per hour. I watched a little bit of his video, and that I think has to do most likely with the fact that the speeds in that race are way slower. You're going much more uphill than on this thing, which is kind of flattish the whole way, and the airflow is really way less on that type of race than this, where you're just blasting and the wind is cooling down the battery, and the temperature here was actually quite nice. I think when we started the race, it must have been around 60 degrees, and it probably went up to like maybe 70 to 75 by the end of the race. But you still had the air a lot of wind going through the battery fins and cooling it down. One of the strategies that I used when I was charging was I purchased one of those ice vests that you would dip into the cold, icy cold water, and it'll suck it in. And then what I did is I wrapped up the battery in that while it was charging. I did not notice any drop in charge rate the entire time from 37 to 75. It charged full blast the entire time. Granted, like I said, it was 70s in the temperature when I was charging, but the vest dried up completely while on the bike. So maybe it helped a little bit. Not sure. Maybe it'll help. It would be more noticeable in a scenario where it's kind of like King of the Motos, where low speeds and a lot of high torque demand for the bike, since you're going up a lot of obstacles. So I think that bike on the right side is 0, and so there were a bunch of zeros in this event, and it sounded like they were sponsoring this event, partially sponsoring this event as well. So they had like a booth there, they had demo bikes, you could try them out and all of that. So yeah, it turned out to be a pretty awesome test of the bike. I mean, the suspension was great. I did not feel any real sketchiness on this entire lap. It was maybe one time when I was like, okay, yeah, that's probably how people hurt themselves when going through those hoops, all those whoops. I felt maybe once, just like, oh, okay, if I was going faster, I might have lost control. But other than that, everything was pretty mellow. Nothing crazy hard. I guess unless you're going 80 miles an hour, right? And then things, I guess, change a bit. But yeah, I mean, all of this is it's completely new to me. Actually, I'm not even a moto guy. I'm a mountain biker. I race downhill, and it was pretty crazy to see some people just fly by, and they're not even standing on their bikes, they're actually sitting on the bikes, and then they were, they pass me, and then they go skip 1, 2, 3, and boom, they just disappear in the horizon. I was like, they're not even riding the entire ground, but they're just like skipping, like wing, 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 and then they're gone. It was interesting to see that. Coming from mountain biking, where this entire lap I stood up for 99% of the whole lap, and it was tiring. It was a little bit tiring. The second lap I did try to conserve more energy, and I sat down a little bit more, so I probably stood up maybe like 95% of the whole lap on the second lap. But yeah, I was from a mountain biker perspective, you need to stand up the entire time. Otherwise, how do you control the bike and the terrain that is coming towards you? So it's a different way to ride in it, but it is my opinion that the Stark Varg is really a lot more like a mountain bike than a motorcycle. So that's just me, that's just how I ride, and that's just how I apply my mountain biking skill sets onto riding the Stark Varg. So it was interesting. It was a lot of people on the first lap. It's kind of weird that they would put all the electric bikes behind, vintage bikes and bikes from like the 60s and things like that, because I mean that did not make sense even to me, because I was like, hey, you know, these electric bikes are basically no different than a modern dirt bike, a modern gas dirt bike, and they will easily be passing anything that is not another modern bike, another modern bike dirt bike that is, you know, running in this event. So that was a little weird. I would have definitely placed the electric class way more closer to the front of all the classes, so that there wasn't so much chances of colliding with the slower classes due to bike limitations. So yeah, I think that would have made this a little bit better. It was just way too many people that you had to pass, because these bikes are, I mean, many times faster than all those misfits and whatever other bikes they had in front of the classes for the electric bikes. You know, that's just something that hopefully they'll rectify that next year and put the electric bike classes higher in the hierarchy of the start. All right, so what power was I running? I actually programmed different power modes onto the bike. I went 25 horsepower to 35 and to 45, but I ended up using the same program map that I always use, which is 45 horsepower with 80% regen. So I really like the regen because it's instant. It's sort of like an instant brake, as well as it helps the battery drain slower. It's a lot of times that people think that the regen recharges the battery, and it would recharge the battery, but you would have to have like a super long downhill and steep so that it would actually recharge you. All you're doing is just not letting the bike discharge as fast, because when you're using regen, basically you are just decreasing the speed at which you discharge the bike, and that's what it does. And it's basically a brake, at least for me. I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, yeah, I mean, in mountain biking, you use your rear brake first, and then in combination you use your front, not rear gear, the rear brake. You use your rear brake first, and then in combination with the rear brake you use your front brake. You never ever use your front brake by itself. He thought that was pretty different in motorcycling, but I find that it's perfectly transferable way of riding from a mountain bike to a motorcycle, and I use my rear brake when I'm riding here 90 to 95% of the time, and sometimes I will use the front brake when I actually need to, you know, come to a stop, or if there's like an emergency type of braking, then I will use the front one as well. But it's everything that you see in this video, 95% was rear brake always, and mostly modulating. With the stock Varg, you can really modulate your braking with the regen. So if you have it at, I don't run it at 100 because it'll skid the rear wheel too much, and then you lose control because there's no modulation. And that's another thing that comes from mountain biking. Modulation is control. It seems that moto riders, they don't really care about modulation. It's more like a on and off type of thing, because obviously you cannot feel through a thick boot, through thick socks and all of that. You know, a little pedal, like, you know, when I tried it, it was like, okay, this is either off or on, and the only way that I know if it's on and off is if I'm skidding or not. So that was not very helpful to me personally. So super stoked to be able to, have hand brakes and being able to modulate. If I just need to scrub a little bit of speed, I'll start with the regen, and I'll just back off from the throttle a little bit, and then regen will instantly kick in, and that'll slow me exactly how much I need to slow to be able to make a turn or whatever it is. And if I need more braking, then I can I ride with my left hand, usually always covering the rear brake, so I'll be able to pull that lever almost instantly as well if I need to brake harder than the regen will allow. But most of the time, I'll say 50% is just braking using regen, and then the other 50% that of the time I'm also applying the hand brakes, whether it's the rear brake or the front brake, but never the front brake by itself, always in combination with the rear brake. Suspension was great. I mean, you can feel the whoops, but it was super confident. Like, you never really felt that something bad was going to happen or anything like that. So the suspension on the bike is really great. I have changed a little bit the settings that the forks and the rear shock came with, and it's great. I should have almost 130 hours on the bike, so that's about, last time I checked, about 1,400 miles on the bike, and the suspension feels so much better than when the bike was brand new. So I mean, I've read some posts saying that, oh, you need to like rebuild your suspension after 20 hours of riding. I'm like, well, I don't know what kind of stuff you guys are riding, but this feels like I don't need to rebuild it, because if I rebuild it, it's gonna get as stiff as it was at the beginning, and that did not feel good. Right now it feels a lot better, a lot more plush, and the fork is still sometimes, depending on the type of bumps that you're hitting, it might still feel a little harsh, but it's a lot more manageable now than it was when it was brand new. So I would say that's suspension is great, and don't need to touch or give any kind of maintenance for hundreds of hours, I would say. What else? It's a fast course, that's for sure. A lot of Joshua trees, as you guys can see there. I think somebody must have smacked one, because there was a piece of it was a branch of a Joshua tree in the middle of that trail while I was riding there. So, and a lot of passing, especially on the first lap. The first lap was the one where there was the most passing. Second lap, everybody had already spread out, and it was a lot more manageable. There were a few guys that I was battling it out with in the second lap, even though they were not in my class, but it was just kind of like constant, like trying to pass them, and they would accelerate a little bit more, and until I was like, okay, I just need to open up my throttle more, and then I would just pass them. Yeah, there were like two big downhills on this course, and this is supposed to be, they said for 2025 was a brand new course, or 80% of the course was brand new, and there are two big downhills were pretty fun. A lot of people struggling, especially on the big bikes, man. Those big bikes, they're scary. I mean, most of the people, I'd say 90% of the people that I saw stranded on the side of the trail, that, you know, their helmets off, laying on the ground, like they looked like they were ready to go to an ambulance to the hospital. They were all on big bikes, and I can understand it completely, because the course was very loose, very loose for any type of tire. That it was a scrambler type of tire. It was just not enough thread. And then if people, you know, were not using brand new tires, even worse. But unless you were on full-on off-road enduro or motocross type of tire with big knobbies, it was going to be tough to go fast at all, or at a decent pace on this course, because it was just so loose for that type of tire. Like, yeah, look at that guy. That guy just went on the right side, and I boom, like, he's gone. Like, that's it. No more. So, yeah, that was pretty wild to see in the flesh. Bike ran flawlessly the entire time. I mean, it was just funny when you start looking at, like, people coming in the night before, and everybody was trying out the bikes. They were warming them up. They would see if they would even turn on, because they had no clue. And I just showed up. I had not touched the bike in about a week. I mean, I didn't have to touch it until literally the beginning of this video, which was the morning of the race. And I just went for a quick ride just to warm up a little bit. This is one of the big downhills here, and there were people sideways. It was just littered with people the entire, at least in the first lap. It was very loose, and I can understand that for big bikes this was pretty tough, and especially on any bike that you're just using a regular scrambler type of tire. It was just, it must have not been any fun at all. I enjoyed the downhill part, because I'm a downhiller, so this was like, okay, fun. So I was just chilling, going down. I was just like, yeah, this is cool. But as you can see, the whole video, grip was no issue at all, and there was literally no sketchy, nothing crazy sketchy at all during the whole ride. Everything was very posed, very controllable. Maybe, yeah, it was partly because I was not going 80 miles an hour. I think I can't remember exactly. I barely had any chance to look at the speedometer, but my guess is I was probably going around 50 miles an hour, something like that. And that's my on-demand honk sound. So yeah, that was just funny. So after the end of this big downhill section, there's this tiny little uphill where people were really struggling. Even though it was small, it was just a tiny little uphill. It was kind of steep, and people were just really struggling to get that up that little steep but short uphill, especially the bigger bikes. It was just not fun for them. I mean, you can look at it in the video, they're all squiggly, they're squiggly from the back, and when I was on the starboard, I mean, I rarely ever felt that the bike was like sliding too much or getting losing grip or anything like that. It just pointed straight and it just went. It was excellent in that regard. Changing direction, changing from one rut to another rut. It was all good. Nothing crazy. See, this guy is like all over the place. It was just, if you did not have proper off-road dirt bike tires, it's gonna be tough. All those guys trying to get up this little thing, this is it. It's just a tiny little uphill, like nothing to it. And but it was really tough on a lot of people because it was so loose. They had different checkpoints, especially, and they were all manned, especially on the railroad crossings. So the event was run really well. I wish the start was a little faster. What I had calculated was electric bikes. My class was class number 26. That means that you would have to see. There's another guy. It's like boom, 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 and then he's gone, done. I was like, Jesus, that guy. That's pretty gnarly. And I think that guy must have lapped me from his first lap. That's what I think. Because those bikes must have been at the front of the classes that started the race earlier. Which brings me back to what I was saying was that from class number 1 to class 25, let's say that it took 2 minutes for each class to start. That's 25 classes times 2 minutes. That's 50 minutes. So I was thinking that my class would take about 50 minutes to start racing after the beginning of the race, and 50 minutes, that's basically a full lap at a good pace. So I think some of these guys were just lapping us from their first lap, and some of those guys had to do 4 laps on their class. So yeah, those guys were fast. Course was really well marked. It was really hard to get lost, if not like impossible almost. There was just one turn that I did take the wrong direction, but as soon as you saw the W, which basically means that you're going the wrong way, you're like, okay, I'm going the wrong way, and then the ribbons are on the right side, so it's just incorporate back into the trail. But other than that, it was really well marked, and deeper whoops, they would also indicate them with arrow pointing downwards and the word saying danger. So for example here, like a little dip there, right there. Anything that was like dual sport tires, it was definitely a lot looser and less confidence inspiring than full-on dirt bike tires. So I think this was a great test for what my purpose of wanting to do this is, and I'll be heading to the Nevada 200 trail ride in a few days, and hopefully everything will work out on that event. I'm planning it where the first day, which is 50 miles, I will have a sport vehicle waiting for me at the mid pit stop, I'll be charging there for maybe 20 minutes so that I can complete. Obviously the pace is not as fast as this, so I am calculating that I should be able to make the battery last longer, so I won't have to charge as much as I did this time around, which was from 37 to 75 to be able to complete 50 miles. I think it'll be maybe half of that, since I'll be going at a chill pace, since it's just a trail ride and not a race. But in that event, the important thing is that distances are a bit longer, especially on the second day, which is like 48 and 48 miles in the morning and then the afternoon after lunch. So I'll be charging 3 times on the second day. The pit stop of the first half during lunch, and then at the pit stop of the second leg of the day. And then the third day I'll have to charge one more time, but hopefully that only needs to be for like 5 or 10 minutes at most, since the third day is 40 miles a trail ride. And from what I've seen in the videos, it's not as open as this track. There's more single track and things like that are in sort of like not full up desert like this, but there's more trees and tall bushes that you have to be zigzagging left and right. So I think I'll have a better efficiency on the Nevada 200 trail ride than I'm having here, which interestingly on this lap I actually had higher efficiency than in the second lap, and partly I think it's because I was going faster on the second lap, since I was better acquainted with the whole lap. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it to here. Keep watching the video. It's a great bike. I have the only, I guess, thing that I would have to complain about is just wanting to have more range on the bike. And I was making some posts earlier, and I'll be getting the Varg EX model not this week but the following week. It was in order. I'll be selling this bike and then keeping the EX, which is road legal, and they also claim that it has 20% more range than this version, which they're calling the MX version, in an enduro setup, which has the 18-inch wheel in the back with the 21 in the front. So once I get the EX, I'll be selling this one, and then I'll keep the EX, the Varg EX, literally until somebody comes up with a proper dirt bike, electric dirt bike that can give us 100 miles off-road in one single charge. I think that a lot of the marginal improvements, I would just stop them at the EX, because it's road legal, it's got more range than this MX version, and you know, everything else that people are gonna come up with, whether it's a Zero or Altis or whatever, you know, Dust, or there's gonna be many more coming out. I think that if there's any improvements at all, they'll be pretty marginal, so there'll be no reason to change those bikes until somebody finally makes a breakthrough and we can use solid state batteries, most likely on motorcycles, and you know, have a range of 100 miles. And once you want to charge them, maybe take 30 minutes to charge fully, and that would be great. I would say that would be a pretty big sentence to gas bikes in my perspective, and obviously that the weight would be reduced from what it is right now. Right now it's around 250 pounds. As long as you keep it under 250 pounds, perfect, no problem. I am not a big, in my personal opinion, I don't think that swapping the battery thing is really a thing, just like it's not on regular cars, where there were some brands betting on swapping the batteries, for quick replenishment of your range. I think it's less practical than it is just charging very quickly and having more range on the vehicle. I think that's where the practicality really beats the potential of swapping batteries. I think that the swapping battery, it's kind of like a transitional thing where, like, okay, yeah, you can swap batteries for now until batteries are a lot better, right? So it's like once batteries get that much better, then swapping a battery is kind of pointless. So some brands will bet their products onto that type of technology, transitional technology, and some don't. It's just kind of like Toyota bets that Priuses are the best thing because you got gas and you got electric. But in the long run, I think that just electric will be the most convenient, and it just makes more sense, at least in my mind. Right now, maybe as a transitional, it's okay. Kind of like what mini discs did between CDs and MP3s. So we had CDs, right? And then for a short period of time, maybe 1 or 2 years, we had mini discs, which were like tiny little CDs with the same capacity as CDs. And then as soon as MP3 players came into the picture, mini discs died. And I see any kind of hybrid technology where you have gas and electric as being a transitional technology, that it will eventually be a dead technology, because once the electric vehicles of any kind, motorcycles, cars, whatever, get to the point where they need to be, the halfway is just not necessary anymore. Cool. Well, thanks guys for watching, and hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and hopefully this video will help anybody that wants to do the 2026 Biltwell. I probably won't be coming back to this event, not because it's a bad event. I think the event is great. This is just, it doesn't keep my interest. Trying to go 80 miles an hour on a straight line over whoops is not, I wouldn't call that fun. So yeah, alright guys, we'll see you once I get back from the Nevada trail ride, which is supposed to be a lot of fun, and I'll be have 3 different videos, 1 for each day, and I'll let you know how all of that goes. Alright, thank you.